Hello and welcome everybody to Daytona International Speedway for week number 8 of the iRacing World Championship Qualifiers, and we have got the shorter of the two Rallycross layouts here tonight. We went to the longer one 2 weeks ago. This time we're cutting out the hairpin about halfway through the course. We're going through a little street circuit kind of section straight back onto the S's, and to make it just a 1.15 kilometer track length. Name here, joined by Joshua Lee as always, with Mark Tranter up in the production booth. Joshua, after an absolutely amazing round last week at Phoenix, how are you looking forward to this one?
Oh, last week in Phoenix was one of the best rallycross races I've ever seen on the sim and in real life. I mean, it was everything you wanted out of a rallycross race. And the energy from that race carries into today with a better track here at Daytona. I am looking forward to whatever happens in these heat racing features. I'm expecting a lot of beating and banging and a lot of great racing.
Absolutely. Qualifying has just started, and we're about to see the drivers set their lap times. It's a very short lap here, only 30 odd seconds. You can see 32 seconds, the current fastest time from Vicente Salas, and I expect him to do pretty well here. 2 weeks ago, we saw him win the broadcast race at the longer version of the circuit. Last week, he told us that the shorter version is his favorite, so I'm not surprised to see him at the top currently, riding on board then with Vicente Salas. And they get 3 laps here, and I'm not expecting it to go the full 5 minutes that they're allocated, as Ilari Lamincevu takes provisional pole position, and he's going to start his lap through the S's up towards the jump, a little bit over to the side on the jump there, but he's going to come across and into this tricky hairpin onto the tarmac. It's very easy to roll the car there if you get too sideways into this really tricky section here, the shorter layout. Walls close on either side, back onto the traditional road course through the S's, past the starting grid. Joker's on the right. That's about a 2-second delta to that one. Coming around the final corner, this is going to be the first corner for all of the heats, as it was 2 weeks ago. You're going to see him cross the line, and he improves. Only good enough to get up to 4th, but you can see only a 10th separating the top 3 drivers and 2/10 separating the top 8, so really close there.
And this track is the short version of this track, and we had the long version 2 weeks ago, but it drives so differently. The first sector is a little bit the same along with the last part of the last sector, but that middle portion, instead of going through some sweeping dirt corners, you're dropping from dirt into asphalt in one corner, and then you're going through a very tight braking zone into that very tight, like you mentioned, street circuit almost type of corner there, and just trying to keep it off of the walls to make sure that your car doesn't get damaged. You can see going into it right now, this Jake Robertson is very hard on the brakes, making sure that you keep it off of the walls. This is a very interesting racetrack and very different from anything we've seen so far.
Absolutely, one of the shortest circuits on the calendar. Maybe only Atlanta short might be just a little bit shorter, maybe Lucas Oil as well. Some really short circuits in Rallycross. All pretty short here. That's Jake Robertson setting not the best lap time, only good enough for 8th. Reminder for the format for tonight, as all the drivers seem to have finished most of their qualifying laps. We've got 2 heats for you, evenly split the drivers, 13 today. All of the odd drivers from qualifying will go to heat number 1, or the evens will go to heat number 2. Top 4 from each of those head to the feature. Everyone else gets dumped into the Consolation, while 5 cars in that top 2 also go to the feature, where we'll have a 10-car sprint to get the maximum points today. 3.5 minutes gone in qualifying, and it's just Tony Latinmaki in the number 12 car, the Finnish driver, currently sitting in 7th. Looks like he hasn't finished all of his laps, but he doesn't look like he is wanting to make much of a move here, so he's going to draw the clock out as we've got just over a minute left to go until heat number 1. So let's have a look then at the championship standings. Remember, the top 14 will be considered for a World Championship license. That's what all these guys are going for. The World Championship, which starts in Season 4. And let's have a look at the championship standings then. We've got Joni Olakainen currently leading the way. We're just a few points ahead of Vicente Salas. Garrett Maines in 3rd. Ilari Lamincevu, Adria Perez, Jake Robertson, Connor Parisi in there as well. A couple of drivers from the second splits. Killian Delomino, he was the Dirt Rally 2.0 Rallycross champion a few months ago, shall I say. Marcos Matamoros, a familiar name. Tommy Mackinnon as well. Rasmus Tuominen, Jonathan Parrier, another second split driver. Bo Albert, and Danny Matrani, who was in the World Championship last year, lost his seat for finishing in the bottom half, and he is just on the cutoff there as they are going for the championship. But we're here in week 8, and there are 9 races that count towards the final points, Joshua. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to start seeing drop weeks applied.
And those are going to be interesting because those are the worst weeks for each of these drivers. But I want to touch on something real quick before we go green for heat number 1, that Tony Latinmaki is in this race, and he is sitting on the bubble in 15th. He needs to get above Daniel Matrani to try and get into that top 14. So I'm expecting him to make some bold moves in the heats and feature race to make sure he's getting the most amount of points he possibly can. But right now, Dane, we got the qualifying results.
Absolutely, and look at the deltas on the right-hand side. Top 5 separated by just a tenth of a second. Really close stuff here. Tommy Mäkinen on pole with Bo Albert in second. Garrett Maines in third. Ilaria Laminsavu, then Vicente Salas, Tommy Holman, Tony Latinmaki, Jake Robertson, Joni Olakainen, Marcos Manamoros, Connor Parisi, Adjo Perez, and Rasmus Tuominen. 7/10 down in 13th. Here's the grid for heat number 1. 7 cars. Tommy Mäkinen on pole. Garrett Maines in second. Teammate Vicente Salas is going to be on the outside there. Tony Latinmaki in 4th. Joni Olakainen in 5th, with Connor Parisi and Rasmus Tuominen at the back. Only 3 cars have gridded up so far. Still waiting for the other 4 to join the grid. But this is going to be a very hectic start. We saw it in the long layout 2 weeks ago. It's the same exact starting procedure here, and it narrows up with grass on either side. Very easy to get pushed out onto that grass where you don't have much grip at all, and that's caused many incidents in the past.
It's such a tight corner coming off of this start. They just need to get from 3 wide all the way down to basically 2 wide, and we've seen carnage going down to that first corner. I'm expecting nothing different here on the short layout. And the races can be made or braked in this first corner. It is such an intense start here at Daytona.
Absolutely, we saw it 2 weeks ago, and hopefully we're going to see some intense stuff here today. The lights are coming on, and we are ready to race for the first time. And we go green for the first time at Daytona. It's a pretty even start from everyone at the front. Salas on the outside there, trying to go all the way around the outside of his teammate. The 2 teammates collide, and Salas is sent right down to the back of the grid. 2 Set Esports cars making contact as well, but as Mäkinen's got a good start, then Latinmaki's made his way up into second. Garrett Maines goes down into third. Connor Parisi in 4th. Salas made his way back up into 5th, thanks to the 2 Set Esports cars battling away there. They all make it over the jump cleanly for the first time as they come into this really tricky part of the circuit here. Almost finished the lap, only 1 corner left to go. This tricky S section back onto the last corner once again. It looks like Mäkinen's gone for the Joker the first lap. Does anyone join him there? No, they don't. So Mäkinen goes Joker first time by. We've got 5 laps. Everyone has to take that Joker lap. We're already starting lap number 2.
Early Joker for Mäkinen, and I'm wondering how that's going to affect the rest of these drivers. Will they come down the Joker lane on lap number 2? But Latimaki trying to hold on from Maines, and Parise looking for the 3rd spot as Salas is trying to get to the back over Parise to try and get up into 4th and transfer into the feature race. But right now, Parise setting his sights on Garrett Maines. Nobody else down the Joker this time.
And this corner that you're seeing them all go through now, this is really the only overtaking opportunity on the circuit, unless the driver in front of you makes a mistake, sending it down the inside there. And I think the Joker's going to play a massive role in this race, in all 4 races that we're going to see today. And Mäkinen not extending his advantage too much, 2.5 seconds in it. It's about 2 seconds of a Joker delta here as everyone gets very close to those walls, and Salas is caught right back up to the rear of Connor Parisi. I think we might see a couple of drivers maybe taking to the Joker this time. No, he's not. Salas almost looks like he's going to go down the inside on Parisi there, but thinks the better of it as they come around to start lap number 4.
Parise has been trying to get past Garrett Maines since the start of this race. Garrett Maines almost holding up Connor Parise to knock him back into Salas, and now Salas gonna beat him in to the inside. Goes Vicente Salas looking for the transfer spot, and he is going to get it over Parise.
That was an awesome move there from Salas. He saw the opportunity there and went for it. Maines made a mockery of the jump there, and that caused Parisi to go side by side with him. Maines just knocking him a little bit wide as Salas takes to the Joker. He's joined by Olakainen and just comes out behind Latinmaki. Latinmaki hasn't taken his Joker, so he is in a prime position now to regain, maybe even challenge for the lead at the end of this one. He's going to have to take it now, but Salas goes down the inside. They're going to go side by side into the tricky section here, and he makes the move stick, and that's on Alakainen there. He's going to try and go side by side of the exit. Not going to work. Latin retains third position. He's going to dive down into the Joker, as is Mains. Let's see how they all come out towards the finish. There is Tommy Mäkinen absolutely storming away to the victory. Side by side out the Joker exit, and it's Latinmäki from Mains, from Salas right at the death there. 7/100ths of a second separating Salas and Parisi at the end there. Crazy finish here for heat number 1. Tommy Mäkinen will win this one by 3.5 seconds, dominating performance from the Finnish driver. Latinmäki in a second. Garrett Mains and Vincente Salas, the two teammates, will join them in the feature, but for Parisi, Alakainen and Tuominen, they're going to have to go to the Consolation to try and grab those 2 last chance qualifier spots. We're going to see the grid for heat number 2 in just a second, Joshua.
Bo Albert going to start on the pole for heat number 2. Alari Laminsavu to his outside in P number 2. In third, it'll be Tommy Hallman. Fourth, Jake Robertson. Fifth, Marcos Matamoros and Adria Perez. Rounds out the 6, going for those 4 transfer spots into the feature. 2 drivers will be heading down into the LCQ, the Consolation Race, to try and make it into the feature. All 6 on the grid. You'll see those 5 yellow lights. It's time to go racing from Daytona. Heat 2 is green, 3 wide, heading down into turn number 1, 2 rows deep. They're going to need to give up room, heading down into the corner, coming off of it. Bo Albert with a great exit. He is going to take over the lead. Laminsavu, Robertson, and Matamoros, your top 4. Hallman and Perez going to need to catch up if they want to make it to the feature.
Oh, what a mistake from Bo Albert off the jump, and Laminsavu gets shunted out of the way from Jake Robertson. Matamoros getting to the back of Jake as well, almost turning him around as they come through the hairpin. A bit of a spin behind. I think that was Tommy Hallman, who's dropping right back down the order. And Bo Albert in the Logitech G Alta Sim Sports car is going to take to the Joker for lap number 1. Something worth mentioning is they can't take the Joker from the start. They have to go around the full course at least once before they do so. Laminsavu making a mistake there. Robertson's going to go all the way around the outside and then make contact in midair. Jake Robertson turned around, and that's going to put him down into 5th. That's not where he wants to be.
Perez just got gifted a gift from Jake Robertson. Hope he signed it and put a card in there too, because he just gave that feature spot to Adria Perez. Now all Perez needs to do is just be consistent and try and pull away from Jake Robertson so he can make it into the feature. But Matamoros has his eyes set on Alari Laminsavu as Bo Albert with another first lap Joker pulling away with the lead. We saw it happen in the first heat, and it's going to happen here again in the second heat as Albert continues to lead the way. Nobody even holding a candle to him right now.
Absolutely. Remember, all of these drivers behind them, starting off with Laminsavu, haven't taken their Joker, so Bo really needs to get a move on. The delta's about 2 seconds. He's only got about half a second really of a margin ahead of Laminsavu, and with a couple of laps to go as Tommy Hallman takes the Joker. A little bit of a lock up there, but that's a really good line. He's going to come out side by side with Adria Perez, and that's going to hold him up a little bit and allow Robertson to catch up just a bit. You can see him in the background there, but those two made contact in midair, Robertson and Laminsavu, sorry what it was, and that really messed up Robertson's race. Currently sitting down in last, but both him and Perez will overtake Tommy Hallman when they take their Jokers. This is lap 4 of 5. They're about to start lap 5 of 5. Bo Albert just crossing the start-finish line now. As we see Perez and Robertson both taking the Joker together, they're going to come out just behind Marcos Matamoros and ahead of Tommy Hallman. So Perez is currently safe. Laminsavu and Matamoros opting to take their Jokers on the last lap. But Robertson right behind Perez. Can he make a move on the final lap? He's going to have one more overtaking opportunity into the final corner. Let's see if he can make it stick. Matamoros just ahead of them is going to dive down into the Joker. Robertson really wide and little tap of the wall as well. That's not going to help his chances at all. And Perez and Laminsavu and Matamoros take to the Joker for the final time. And Albert will win this race. It's the first time we've seen him winning a race in the top split. He does a celebratory spin at the end there. And let's see who finished the end of the race. We got Bo Albert winning, Laminsavu in second, Matamoros in third, and Adria Perez in fourth. Robertson and Hallman are going to the Consolation, Joshua.
An intense race there. You can see just how quickly that your race can go from hero to zero with Jake Robertson there. Just came off of the jump a little bit cattywampus and was turned around. He lost that position to Adria Perez, and that was his written in stone for the end of the feature there. What an intense heat, but now we're taking a look at this consolation race. Parise going to start on pole, Robertson to his outside, then Ollikainen, Hallman, and Tuominen rounding out the final 3 spots. Top 2 will make their way into the feature.
Absolutely, and all 5 drivers on the grid. We're about to see the lights.
Green light is out. They are racing here in the consolation race, battling for the top 2 spots. Parise on the inside. 3 cars lined up on the inside. That's Robertson behind Parise. Trying to get past him on the outside. That's Ollikainen. And 1 car spinning in the back. That's Rasmus Tuominen. But Parise leading the way. Behind him is Yanni Ollikainen, then Robertson, Hallman. They are all, you can throw a blanket over the top 4 right now. To the inside goes Ollikainen, decides against it. Now on the back bumper of Parise, making their way through the tight section and into sector 3. Parise looking to pull away, but Robertson needs to get to the back bumper of Yanni Ollikainen. If he wants a chance, Parise gets loose. He's going to go around the Joker, in the Joker. That's Ollikainen and Robertson.
Ollikainen and Robertson taking the Joker on the first lap. We're not used to seeing Ollikainen down in the consolation. Obviously our last week's race winner from Phoenix, his teammate Tommy Hallman is just behind them. And it looks like Tuominen currently sitting in first on the timing tower. That's not where he is on track though. He is currently sitting dead last after the spin right at the start. Bit of a malfunction happening with the timing tower at the moment, but Ollikainen followed closely by Robertson. Those 2 have taken their Joker. Hallman and Parise just behind them haven't. It's about a 2-second gap between them, so this is going to be really close towards the end of this race. Remember, it's a 6-lap consolation. There's Robertson very high over the jump. He just about makes the landing stick there. And he's right on the back of Ollikainen to come around the final section of corners. Robertson hits the wall a little bit there on the inside.
Doesn't look like it affected him too much. These rally cars can get a lot of beep and banging and still work just as fine. But Robertson right now looks just content with riding in number 2. That's all he needs to do. He needs top 2 to try and make his way into the feature. But Tommy Hallman has not taken his Joker. He's within 2 seconds of these 2 lead cars. If he takes the Joker, he could have a great shot to lead.
Absolutely, these 2 need to stop holding each other up. Robertson trying to get ahead of Ollikainen so he can try and pull away. It looks like he is the faster of the 2 drivers here. He just can't find a way through. That's one of the problems with Daytona short is the limited opportunities for overtaking areas, and Hallman catching up to the back of them. Robertson is really in danger now of losing his transfer spot.
Hallman just waiting to take that Joker. 2 laps to go. He needs to take it in the next 2 laps. But Ollikainen and Robertson still battling. Robertson puts the bumper to Yanni Ollikainen to the inside. Jake Robertson takes the lead. Yanni Ollikainen going to surrender the lead. Now Robertson looking to pull away as Ollikainen on the back bumper of that Apex Racing driver. No Joker from Hallman yet. To the outside goes Ollikainen. 2 set esports drivers, 2nd and 3rd, with Hallman still needing to take that Joker. White flag in the consolation. Robertson in the best position out of any of these drivers right now.
Hallman is looking at a very good position as well. He's looking like he's going to overtake both of these drivers. That's why Robertson had to get ahead of Ollikainen. That's cost Ollikainen, I think it's cost him a transfer spot, because Tommy Hallman there just behind. And he'll take his Joker now this time by Ollikainen. Has no response for Robertson at all. Robertson is going to walk away here. And Hallman is going to take the win in the consolation just. And Robertson is going to take that 2nd position. Parise is going to finish in 4th. Tuominen didn't finish the race, unfortunately. But Hallman, great Joker strategy from him. Robertson with that last gasp move that he really had to make to get that 2nd last chance qualifier. Ollikainen missing out, so is Conor Parise and Rasmus Tuominen. Those 3 are eliminated.
An intense consolation race there, but Robertson and Hallman able to get in with Makinen. Albert starting on the front row. Latimaki in 3rd, in 4th, Alari Laminsavu, in 5th, Garrett May in 6th, Marcos Matamore 7th, Vincente Salas 8th, Adria Perez, and then Hallman and Robertson round out 9th and 10th. Year 2 from the consolation race. Dane, we saw an intense feature, an intense 10 laps last week in Phoenix, and I'm expecting nothing less from these drivers here in the future at Daytona.
Absolutely, you can see where Limits just popped onto the grid there. It's very dusty there on the on the right-hand side. That's all the dust that they pick up going over the dirt, but the lights are on. We're ready to race for the feature here at Daytona, and the lights are on green. We're racing here for the final time, and Bo Albert gets a decent start. No one's going to take the joke. It's a bit of a punt from looks like Garrett Maines. He's going to make his way up into second, still locked bumper to bumper with Limits, with a little bit of contact. 3 wide as they head into the Essex for the first time. Loads of cars, loads of contact there at the back. Couple of cars turned around as well. That's Holman and Mäkinen. Holman and Leminterview, sorry. Mäkinen had to slow down to try and avoid them, but really close still here at the front. Albert pulling away from Maines. Salas, and that's Matamoros into the outside wall.
Matamoros, hard contact into the wall. That is going to cause some steering damage to that car. You're looking at Robertson right now. Albert and Maines, I believe they both just went down into the Joker lane. We'll see when it updates. Bo Albert came into the Joker lane. It looks like Garrett Maines, Vicente Salas both electing against it, but Bo Albert extending his lead now, and as you're taking a look at the battle for 6th, moving up to Garrett Maines, he has Vicente Salas all in his rear view here, but Maines just needs to keep that 2-second gap to Bo Albert, and he can take the lead off of just one Joker lane pass through, but he's not going to go for it yet. He's going to save that for later in the race.
Absolutely, I don't like the strategy from Albert there. He might have tried to take the Joker to get ahead, as that's Tommy Mäkinen going down the inside of Robertson. A little bit of contact there, but he gets the move done. Robertson making a move that was Matamoros a few laps ago, so I'm not sure what happened to Robertson. He dropped down a little bit. I think he might have got a slowdown, but Mäkinen taking full advantage of that and moving up into 7th. Robertson down in 8th, and Leminterview just behind him. We've seen how quick Leminterview can be. He didn't have the best of races at Daytona long, and he's not having any better here at Daytona short, sitting in 9th. Holman is down in 10th, but the battle for 2nd is still very much on. If they keep battling like this though, Joshua, they're going to lose time to Albert.
Yeah, they will, and they already are. And you can see Salas just getting loose coming off of the jump. That jump really upsets these cars because they dive into that jump very quickly. It is a very quick turn coming off of that jump, so it's very easy to get that car upset, and that's what happened to Vicente Salas. You can see already losing about a full second to his teammate Garrett Maines up ahead of him. But right now, Maines is outside of that Joker Delta. He needs to not worry about Salas behind him and just worry about catching Albert before he needs to take that Joker, as we're nearing halfway.
Absolutely, and just happened whilst you were talking there as Mäkinen and Matamoros, I think it was, have had contact just out of the hairpin right here. And I think they've been pushed. Once someone's been pushed into the wall, I think it was Matamoros. He's dropped down 16 seconds from the lead pack. So we'll see if we can get a replay of that once the race is finished, probably, because lots of action happening here. Adria Perez just took his Joker as well, up into 5th position. Maines 2 and a bit seconds behind Albert. Albert's currently sitting in the provisional lead of this race.
But Albert, you can see Garrett Maines has just made up that time to Albert now that he's not fighting with Salas. And he is within that Joker lane delta that we've been talking about 2 seconds is how much time that you're able to gain taking the Joker lane, which is right there on the right side of your screen. You can see it's denoted by those yellow banners. They need to take that at least once during this race. It is denoted by the Joker hat on our timing tower. So you can see Albert, Perez, Robertson, and Holman have all taken the Joker lane. Everybody else has not taken it just yet. And Garrett Maines is within the Delta time where he can take the Joker lane and take the lead away from Bo Albert. It's just a matter of when he's going to bring that Smithfield VW Beetle through the Joker lane and take the lead as Bo Albert. All he can do right now is just try and pull away from Garrett Maines, but right now he is not doing a great job of it as Maines is still within striking distance.
Absolutely, and the way that this Joker exit works, and you see the white line there on the screen, you cannot cross that line, then it really compromises your entry for this next couple of corners. So by taking it during the race and not on the last lap like we've seen a lot of drivers do, you're compromising your exit and you actually lose a little bit of time that you wouldn't have otherwise. And that's Vicente Salas off there, contact between himself and Robertson. Vicente Salas falls down into 6th there, Robertson up into 5th. Salas still has to take his Joker, so he's probably going to catch both of these guys when he takes that. I wouldn't expect him to see him take it right now. Yes, he does. He's going to take both of these guys as they come around. Adria Perez going a little bit deep there. He's going to come out side by side with Latin Maki. Just about making it through there. You can see how much Salas's line was compromised there. Couldn't carry quite as much speed. But Maines has dropped back as well. 2.5 seconds now is the gap. With just 1.5 laps to go, I think Albert's got this one in the bag.
Depends on when Garrett Maines takes that Joker lane. Will he come down this time? And Salas just gave a quick sorry over the radio to Jake Robertson. Not sure he's going to take that apology very well. But Salas up into third. No, that's Latin Maki. He's going to stay in the third spot as we take the white flag. Maines not coming down the Joker lane just yet. That might spell disaster for Garrett Maines if he wants to try and get this lead. 2.5 seconds back from Bo Albert. Will he be able to take the Joker lane and get the lead? Let's see.
He's dropped back quite a lot. 2.7 seconds was the gap just a moment to go. And I don't think he's going to do it. I think this is going to be Bo Albert's race. 3.5 seconds. Maines takes to the Joker and he's not close enough. Bo Albert wins here at Daytona. Short. Garrett Maines finishes in second. Latin Maki's going to take third. Salas is going to take fourth. A late Joker from Leminsavu just finishes behind Adria Perez. Another late Joker from Mäkinen. He's going to finish in 8th. Tommy Holman finishes in 9th. And Madam Morris nursing that beetle across the line to finish in 10th. But for Bo Albert, the Aussie driver, Logitech G Altus esports driver, it is his first win in the iRacing World Championship Qualifiers, with 1.3 seconds between him and Garrett Maines at the line. The American finishing in second. Latin Maki in third. And we've got Vicente Salas. Really unfortunate for him. Made a couple of mistakes, though, at that hairpin after the jump. Adria Perez took fifth. Leminsavu in sixth. Robertson down in seventh. And then Mäkinen, Holman, the battle of the Tommies, in 8th and 9th. And Marcos Matamoros finishing in 10th. I'd love to get a replay of what happened between Matamoros and I think it was Mäkinen. I think we might get it just now. Here it is.
Looked to me like simple contact coming onto the asphalt there. The cars get pretty upset going that quickly from dirt to asphalt, and it could just have been they ran out of room, one car out through each other they went.
Absolutely really unfortunate stuff from Adam Morris there. Really not good for him. He was doing pretty well up in the midfield of the pack there, but Bo Albert winning his first race. There he is, in that beautiful Logitech G Altus Esports livery. Really nice livery on that one. He didn't have it for the first couple of rounds, but they eventually got it sorted for him so he can run it on these broadcasts. And we're going to see who we can get in for an interview in just a few moments' time. We have got our race winner waiting for an interview, so let's get him in here then for a quick chat. Then, Bo, welcome to the commentary box. Bo, can you hear us?
Hello, hello.
Hello, Bo. Welcome to the commentary box. Congratulations on the win.
Oh my word. It has been a terrible run of luck for me in these broadcasted races, and Phoenix was a train wreck and a half for me. So to bounce back like this, it's just, I could not be happier, guys. Perfect race. Absolutely brilliant. Loving it.
Winning your heat as well. You did great in both of your races that you did, and a really dominant performance. You led a couple of laps all those weeks ago at Hell, and now you've had a run of bad luck, but finally making it up to the top.
Absolutely. It's a little bit funny because at Hell, it was me versus Tommy in the final stages of the race, and sadly I made a mistake with 3 laps to go and lost the lead there. So then coming into Daytona, it was me and Tommy on the front row, and I'm like, I need to make sure I get one up on Tommy, and thankfully managed to get the better start there and managed to control the race from there. But the entire race, I was just shaking so bad, so nervous not to make a little mistake. So yeah, to win the heat, brilliant qualifying, and then to obviously back it up in the feature as well, even though it was a bit of a shambles turn one. There was a bit of push and shove in a few different directions, but to come out cleanly and just sort of try and get my head down. Really, really happy with the performance today. I want to give a shout out as well to our Carl Sampson and also Matthew Madigan for all their help on the setup. The car was a rocket today.
Absolutely, and you didn't have the easiest of rides because although you were 2 seconds ahead for most of the race, you did have Garrett Maines and Vicente Salas closing in on you. Your Joker strategy, you took it very early in the race. What was your thinking behind that?
My thinking was purely just to get away from the pack, get myself into clean air, and then just move on and get my head down, run my own laps. I wanted as little distractions as possible. What I actually did was turned off my virtual mirror in the car as well. I didn't want to see anything behind me. It was purely eyes forward. So that was the thinking behind the Joker strategy. Just get myself into clean air and don't look behind.
Well, I didn't think it was going to work, but it worked absolute wonders for you. Congratulations on that. Next week, we're heading back to Atlanta Long. We headed there right early in the season. I think it was round 2 or 4. But we're heading back there next season. What are your thoughts about that circuit?
Well, I was the cause of, I forget who it was, but somebody ended up doing a front flip on the broadcast, and I was the cause of that. So
Yeah.
my goals heading into Atlanta is don't make anybody do a front flip. But no, overall, Atlanta was actually my second worst round of the season so far in terms of points. So sort of looking for redemption again there, try and get a good performance in, get some points, and hopefully make this top 14 in the championship.
Absolutely. Well, before this race, you were sitting nicely in, I think it was 12th or 13th. So you're looking good after this race as well. Good points for this round. And I think it was Yogi Zadson that ended up doing a front flip at Atlanta. I do remember that. That was unbelievable scenes there, hitting one of the turtle curves and doing a front flip. So not making someone do a front flip is a pretty good aim for next week. Well, thank you so
sorry,
much.
Georgie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box. But congratulations for the win and good luck for the rest of the week and for next week as well.
Thanks, guys. Cheers for the broadcast.
Thank you so much, Bo Albert. Then we've got Joshua. Great to hear from him. But Joshua, we've got Garrett. Garrett Maines, our second place driver, in for an interview as well.
The American interviewing the American. Wouldn't have it any other way. Garrett, a good race from you. P number 2 finish. We saw you within that Joker lane Delta time for most of the race, and Bo Albert taking the Joker lane lap number 1. What was your thinking to take the Joker lane later in the race on lap 10 as opposed to a little bit earlier?
Oh, I knew I was kind of right on that border of being able to make it happen. I didn't expect the car to swing the way it did. I'd been practicing this for, a few hours for the race. I hadn't really been able to, build the setup this week. And I thought I was going to be loose because, I'd had Vicente tested and he's like, hey, it's loose, it's loose, it's loose. So, I tightened it up and I thought that was going to be the way to go because I was trying to build the Ford in the same time. And I get in the race and it's a plow box. I don't know why it went so far the other way, but like whatever adjustment made that happen is going to come straight out of the car because I have never had to turn the wheels so far to make it go. But I thought I was going to be able to, pick up the pace. The more it wore off, I thought I'd be better. But it just got to the point where I just could not make it around the turns because I didn't have the rotation on the asphalt, and he started to really gap me. So I thought I'd be able to gain into the Delta a little bit more, solidify that, be able to take the lead. But I was hoping it would just leave the pressure on him, but it swung the wrong way for me, and he ended up getting out of the Delta range, and it wasn't worth taking at that point. But overall, I feel so bad for turn 1. Like I started moving, lanes because I knew the Subaru got the better start just because of the power. So like mid range, I just kind of moved over to get to the bottom, and then they were braking, and I wasn't braking hard enough, and I was still in a higher gear, so I could not hit the brakes hard enough, and I just started locking up and it hit Tommy hard enough to like really screw up that start. So I felt really bad for that. I pretty much did what Yanni did, in the heat, and just I didn't want to be that guy. But there's always the first time for the season.
I've been asked by Dane, and I'm looking at it on the replay right now. Samir Jr. is written on the front of your car. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's the inner person that I just kind of channeled in turn 1. Not good. I don't know if any of y'all have seen the Samir "You're Breaking the Car" video, but that is where that's coming from. That's the reference. It's on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, gotta look it up. It's hilarious.
Next week, we're heading back to Atlanta. The short layout this time. In Atlanta, week 2, you finished 9th in the feature race. Are you looking for a better weekend, and do you think you can get a better weekend next week?
Honestly, I think most of the schedule minus Hell Short is going to be pretty solid races for us. We still got Iowa coming up, and I think that'll be probably one of my best weeks on the season. But just trying to survive some of these tracks that just kind of like the middle of the road for me, and really interested to see how Hell Short's going to go. Not a big fan of that layout, so.
Thank you very much, Garrett Maines, P number 2 finisher in today's feature race here at Daytona. Dane, back to you.
Absolutely. Well, it was an awesome race again. Not disappointed at all after last week. at Phoenix. I think they've definitely lived up to their reputation that they have made for themselves in the top split of the IRX series. Just wanted to point out, I've just been reminded by the producer, Mark Tranter, that Bo Albert gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He is in Australia, and he gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do this broadcast split. So to get the win with very little sleep and getting up that early in the morning is pretty impressive as well.
It is awesome to see the passion of these iRacers. To echo what Mike Joyce said on Fox Sports during the eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series, the racing is virtual, or the cars are virtual, but the racing is real, and that has just shown every week here in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Qualifiers.
Absolutely, and this is week 8. This is the first of the 5 strength of field races that these drivers have available to them. So the points that everyone has dropped today at the back of the field, some of the drivers getting eliminated as well that we usually see at the top of the field, they definitely have got more of an opportunity to get those points back in the later races. This is the only one that's broadcast, but there are definitely more opportunities for these guys to get their points this week. And remember, they still have 4 drop weeks, even if they can't get up some points during the week. Like Bo told us in the interview, he told us that Atlanta Long was his worst points finish of the season so far. That's probably definitely going to be one of his drop weeks. They get 4 of those. Only the top 9 out of 13 week finishes will count towards their total. So in a couple of weeks' time, we'll start seeing those take effect, and that's when we'll start to get a real sense of who's going to be qualifying for this World Championship. Remember, it's not the top 14. Definitely the stewards up in the iRacing headquarters are still going to have to look through all of everyone's records and see if they're going to consider them all for a World Championship license. We might even see maybe 15th position or 16th even if a couple of the guys in the top 14 don't get through.
It's going to be an interesting points battle, and it's going to be an uphill battle for a couple of the guys who are on the outside looking in that are just trying to put in consistent races here in these strength of field times. And it's just very difficult to make their way into the top 14, and that's all they're trying to do as guys try and pull away from that bubble, try and get near that bubble, and just it's going to be an intense points fight in these remaining weeks. And a lot of these guys, when they get into the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series, they're going to be a threat for the championship. With the old drivers and new ones alike, it is going to be an intense battle in the World Championship, and this is just a precursor to all of that.
Absolutely, and we do have a last-minute driver coming to us for an interview. That is Apex Racing Team's Jake Robertson. Joshua, I think you're gonna take this one.
Jake Robertson, one of our own here, Apex Racing Team driver. Jake, an intense heat for you. I want to go back to talking about your heat race because you were on the outside looking in and you really had to fight for that transfer spot. Talk about the heat race and then we'll move into the future.
The heat race was quite unexpected. The first lap looked all right. I'm just looking back now. The first lap looked all right. I think I got myself up into P3, so we looked pretty safe for a transfer. And then, unfortunately, I think Hillary messed up a little bit and clipped the curb. So that set him up for the jump, and it set him up quite badly. So then I went over the top, and I think I hit his rear wing, and unfortunately, that pushed me down to the Consolation.
And then in the Consolation, you fought your way out. You were able to get a good P2 finish. You started 10th in the feature, ended up finishing 7th. Was it more about survival out there, especially with turn 1 being so hectic as it is here at Daytona?
Turn 1 wasn't as bad for me. Obviously, starting on the outside on the last row of the grid, it wasn't the best starting position. So I didn't get caught up in much. I think I made a position up. But survival was definitely the name of the game when it got into the late stages of the race. I think if you're anywhere from P3 to P4, if you can sort of survive, you're going to get a good finish in the end of the race.
Anyone else you would like to thank before we go ahead and send you off?
Yep, I would like to thank you guys for the broadcast. I'd like to thank SDK Gaming, the Academy guys, and all the team guys for helping me out this week.
Jake Robertson, our own Apex Racing Team driver here on Apex Racing TV. Dan, what an exciting race and what great drivers we've had up here in the booth.
Absolutely, it's been a great event, another great event after last week at Phoenix. I didn't think this one was going to be quite as good, and I think it's lived up to some of the expectations I didn't have for it. I mean, it's been a great race. I think this is even better than 2 weeks ago at Daytona Long. This track does provide some really close racing, especially with the limited overtaking opportunities. Drivers really have to get close for that final corner. But really great racing here. And I just wanted to mention, on the weekend, there was the VCO Cup of Nations, and they had a good couple of Rallycross races in there as well. It's great to see Rallycross being taken more seriously by a lot of the sim racing community. It's been mostly like a bit of fun that people have when they're bored. It doesn't count for the license that they're like trying to keep. But now it's starting to be taken more seriously, and that's great to see. And we had a race at Sonoma and a race at Atlanta short as well there. And that was really good to see. Really great racing there as well. And I'm really happy to see Rallycross being taken more seriously. But next week, Joshua, we've got Atlanta Long. And you weren't here in the broadcast booth for the one that we had in week number 2. But what are you expecting for that one?
I'm expecting much of the same. I mean, the past couple of weeks, we've seen the heat races be a little bit more wreck-filled, and then we've seen the feature race kind of be calmed down with some hectic in turn 1. So I think we're going to see much of the same. We're going to see a lot of great racing, a lot of side-by-side action, a lot of beating and banging, and especially at Atlanta, one of the tougher tracks on iRacing Rallycross. I'm just expecting these drivers to be challenged, and it's really going to separate the great drivers that are going to excel in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship and the drivers that are going to be trying to fight their way out of the qualifiers.
Absolutely, and I just wanted to quickly have a look to see who these drivers are going to be joining for the Rallycross World Championship. They're starting in just a couple of months' time now. Sandy Matty Trogan, last year's world champion, Mitchell de Jong, Joni Heikkinen, Bobby Zelensky, Otto Taskinen, Johan Harth. Also got Josh Fox in there, Garrett Lowe, and then John Robertson, familiar name. That's Jake Robertson's slightly older brother. Tommy Holman is in there as well. Those are the top 10 from last year's World Championship who have all retained their seats for this year's World Championship. A couple of the drivers that we've been seeing that have been kicked out of the World Championship due to finishing low in the standings and they've had to regain their licenses. Danny Matrani has been in there. Adria Perez. Also got Georgi Zadzon. Let's see who else is in here as well. Connor Parisi and Garrett Maines. Marcos Matamoros too. They all had World Championship licenses and they all lost them last season. They're all working really hard, even more hard this season, I think, than they had to work in seasons prior to get into this. It's a really strong field that we've got in this qualifier series.
It is going to be exciting going into Atlanta. I mean, each field that we've had on each broadcast here on Apex Racing TV has been just great racers from top to bottom. I mean, we've seen battles for transfer spots in every heat and every consolation, and I think we're going to see much of the same as we lead into the World Championship. But on the World Championship, it is going to be the best iRacing Rallycross drivers in the world battling week in and week out. I'm looking forward to following that week to week with everybody else on the iRacing Esports Network.
Absolutely, and I'm also looking forward to some new Rallycross circuits that have been teased on the forums by Mr. Chris Leone. He did an announcement about the new Hockenheim coming to iRacing #soon. But that's really cool to see some big circuits coming to iRacing like Hockenheim. It's great to see they haven't stopped production, especially during the pandemic. But we're getting some new Rallycross circuits that's been teased in that forum post. That's great to see as well. That is it then for this broadcast. Some great racing once again. Join us next week at the same time, Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT for week 9 at Atlanta Rallycross Long. I've been named Bear, joined by Joshua Lee. Mark Trent has been the guy controlling the cameras and the beautiful SDK gaming overlay that you're seeing on your screen. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you next week. Wish you a good night and happy racing.